I am happy, I am healthy, I am bountiful, I am blissful, I am eternal light, I am infinite love, I am grateful, I am successful, I am wealthy, I am positive, I am confident, I am courageous, I am confident again, I am creative, I am content, I am strong, I am inspiration, I am in spirit, I am one love, I am infinite, I am one.
When I was younger, I used to be very insecure about my body. So that's what made me decide to work on the series, Be Your Own Breast. A series of paintings that I made of a bunch of my girlfriends. I took pictures of them, naked, just like, mainly just their breasts and their bellies, of them like holding their fat in different ways and like moving their boobs around and just like really exploring their bodies. And the whole point of this series of work to remind women that all of us have very different bodies and that it's a normal thing and that we're all beautiful and our bodies are all valid. Growing up in high school, I started realizing how many of my friends were also very insecure with their bodies. They wanted to get breast surgery, they wanted to get liposuction, all these things, spending a lot of money to change their bodies because they weren't comfortable in their own skin. I started to think about all this and I did some research and I realized how heavily influenced everyone is by the media and the way that the media portrays how women's bodies should look like. And so I wanted to be someone that could change this sort of view on women's bodies for everyone, not just for women, but also for men as well, because we all need to kind of wake up on this. Growing up when I was little, like in elementary school and middle school, I was like a very tall, awkward-looking girl, and none of the guys liked me, and I was kind of bullied a little bit. So that made me very insecure about my physical self. And also, I was always a very shy person too, and I didn't really like have a sort of like strong identity or feel like I knew who I was or anything at that time. When I was younger, in like 2005, the end of middle school for me, I was like 12 years old. I lived in Brazil, and I was going out with a guy for the first time ever. It was really exciting for me, and I finally had my first kiss. And the next day, I came to school, and everyone was making fun of me and going like this because the guy told everyone that I gave him a hand job in the movie theater, which I didn't give him a hand job, but I did put my hand on top of his pants. I just started school in Brazil. I just moved there from America. And the whole school, people that were in high school, like older kids, were looking at me, pointing. I felt shocked inside, like something inside me, like my heart just like stopped for a moment. I was like, oh my God. I wanted to kill myself. I got very depressed. I still had like a few friends that stuck with me, that were kind to me. But I was in a very sad place during that time. And I was really suicidal. And I was cutting myself. And I would tell my dad, I was like, I don't want to live. What's the point of living if life is so shitty, everyone is so mean? I was just like, I don't want to live anymore, Life really sucks because growing up was hard for me to make friends. And then I finally go somewhere where I feel like I'm accepted, and that happens. And so that put me in a really dark place where I just felt like it wasn't worth living. I just felt like life wasn't worth living because of all of the bad experiences that I was having with my life. And I felt like I was worthless. I felt like it wouldn't even matter if I had died.
Victoria, she was 7 years old and she was like, I don't want to die.
Maybe my physically abusive ex-boyfriend traumatized me and put me in this. Maybe it was also the experience in Brazil. It could have been an accumulation of that and, growing up in elementary school and not feeling accepted. Whatever it was, I would get into these episodes, into these tantrums where I just would go into a black hole and I would just feel worthless, and the only solution was just for me to just end my life because I just felt like I wasn't doing good for my family being in that place, And I would just forget about all of the good things in life, and at that moment all I could see was that I was worthless and that maybe life wasn't worth living. And I would end up going to this point where I would actually try to commit suicide. I put my leg over the balcony and I'm gonna kill myself now. And then who knows? I mean, if I was intoxicated, if I was drunk, if I was doing heavy drugs or something, I probably wouldn't be alive right now. My father started giving me a lot of spiritual books to read, and he was like, you're strong, just read these books, they're gonna help you. And I wanted help, so I read those books, and I think one of the first books he gave me was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And it made me realize that, I don't have to be in that sad place regardless of what's going on in my life. I can choose to be happy. I can, work to be happy. I don't have to be depressed even though there's a bunch of bullshit happening in my life. There was a time my mom was really sick and I thought she was going to die for a little bit. I've discovered this book called The Disappearance of the Universe. And that book opened my mind even more about the world that we live in and spirituality and everything and love and unity. And I wanted to pass this type of strength that I was feeling to everyone around me. I wanted to show everyone how this material world is an illusion. And the realest thing in this human world that we live in right now is the feeling of pure unconditional love. That I really related to. When I read that, I didn't feel like I was learning something new. I felt like I was remembering something that is real. And it really helped me to get through that time. And my mom ended up surviving, and she's super healthy now. And that book really made me feel like I needed to send this message of love to everyone. So I decided I need to make that a part of my art as well. I'm exploring my style, and I'm adding the elements of nature and trees and animals into my artwork, but I'm still sticking also with the female body, because right now we're going through this really big shift in the world, and we're going from a male-dominated era to a female-dominated era, and I want to be somebody who can help with this shift, let it be subconsciously or directly. So I feel like having that feminine element in my artwork while sending the message of love is something that could really help people wake up to what we're really supposed to be paying attention to, and how we really need to see the world around us, which is, with eyes of love and empathy. And that's how eventually we'll create unity and a world of peace. is when we actually realize that we're all connected. And what you do to this piece of grass, you're going to be doing basically to yourself, because we're all connected. And right now, the science is also catching up to this sort of thinking with quantum physics and string theory and everything. So I feel like right now is my time to kind of push this sort of state of mind with my artwork. After doing Be Your Own Breast, I wanted to explore my creativity more, because Be Your Own Breast, that series, all the paintings I made were very realistic. They were all different colors and stuff. I had people who were blue, I had people who were purple, pink, but the details were realistic. So I wanted to try a different style, and I wanted to add more nature into my artwork, because I also wanted to do something with my art that I felt like I was making a difference in the world. And not just spiritually, but also ecologically. And this one I painted in gouache, and I use mixed media. So there's gouache, there's paint marker, and a little bit of regular marker. But I'm turning my women into trees now. You can still sort of see their bodies behind all of the details. But I wanted to kind of merge the aspect of the women and the femininity and earth and the divine feminine. The condor is a symbol of the feminism as well. And then this snake curling up like that is a symbol of the kundalini, the shift in the kundalini. And then the full moon is also part of the feminine aspect. This is my most recent painting I made. And then I've done several drawings after that, but this is a bigger piece that I made. The woman in this painting is Chidera Egeru, also known as the Sunflower, her blogger name. The reason I painted her is because she started this hashtag movement called Saggy Boobs Matter, and that movement changed, a bunch of women's lives. It really helped the self-esteem of several women all over the world, which is basically what I've been trying to do with my artwork. So I was inspired to make a painting of her, because she's doing exactly what I want to be doing, except she's doing it with her blogs and her writing, and she just came out with a book, so she's an inspiration. I made her boobs into beautiful blossoming sunflowers because of her blogger name, The Slumflower. After high school, I was partying a lot, I was living the Miami lifestyle, and I was just kind of living a party life and wasn't really focusing on my future or anything like that. And it wasn't really healthy for me. And so it was just as long as I did good in school, my parents weren't gonna bug me about going out. And they always gave me a lot of freedom. And so I ended up having a lot of fun in high school. But then, after a while, that sort of party lifestyle, it wasn't really taking me anywhere good. And I started to realize that. And when I was in high school, I wasn't out of shape or anything, but as I started getting older, once I hit 21, I was kind of out of shape. I had a little bit of a beer belly, and I didn't really care about my diet as much. And I just wasn't very healthy. Right now, I realize that that's really not the meaning of life. Yes, you want to go and have fun, be happy, and find a partner, but a real meaning of life for me is to live a life where I feel like I made a difference for the world, where I feel like I helped the world in some way, and that I didn't live my life selfishly. So I feel like everything really happens for a reason. And a lot of times when we're going through hardships in life is when you really need to take a step back and look at what's going on in your life and figure out what needs to change, because sometimes you may not realize it, but big changes are necessary. And even though my ex-boyfriend felt like he was something that was really good for me at one time, he was there for me, a couple years after, when I realized he wasn't good for me anymore, and for a lot of people, you know, leaving a relationship that lasted almost 4 years would be a really tough decision to make, and it wouldn't be a decision that people would just be able to make in like a few days, you know. I feel like, you know, for a lot of people who don't get that sort of like bang in life, it takes longer for you to do things that are actually really necessary, big changes that are necessary in your life for you to like be on the path that you're supposed to be on. Because I've been through so many experiences, I can talk about them easily. A lot of people came to me for advice. And that's one thing that like kept me here, you know, that made me realize, you know, like actually I can be somebody that can help people. Even though I want to help people, I need to help myself first, and I need to love myself first. And I feel like the more I'm doing things that I'm supposed to be doing, the easier life is. Even with the way that the world is right now and all the chaos in the world, my world feels much lighter, and I feel confident that I can help and that I can make a difference. And that, to me, is the most fulfilling thing in life, to feel like I can help people. After I started doing yoga, that definitely changed my state of mind more. Because not only like learning about spirituality and reading those spiritual books, like those definitely helped, but like actually practicing spirituality, like practicing yoga, practicing meditating. Whenever I start my day doing yoga, I have a way better day. Like solving problems is easier. You know, when things happen that don't go my way, I don't react as much, and I just feel much more present and much more like I'm there and I'm ready to do what I need to do. What I want to do is send the message of love and unity, and that we are all just the realest thing in this world is love, and that humanity is meant to be united. And so that's my main message through my artwork. And right now, what I want to do is I want to make enough money with Studio Viki to be able to donate at least 60% of my profits with my brand to nonprofit organizations such as World Wildlife Fund, Planned Parenthood, Human Rights Campaign. So what I really want to do is be a philanthropist, which is basically someone who has love for humanity. So right now I'm just working on, you know, starting my brand, and I work a lot in Photoshop and Illustrator, and I've been using different platforms to upload my prints, like such as Society6, Redbubble, Threadless. And I also have my own website where I sell my own products. Like I do screen printing because I learned how to screen print in school, and so I'm still using that to make my own shirts. And I also am working on making jewelry, and I'm also an artist, so I still paint. And digital artwork that I make, I want to make prints of too, and make prints of my paintings. So all of that stuff will be sold on my website, studioviki.com. Once we were born, we forgot how to love ourselves, which is something that is so important. And sometimes it just takes like you looking in the mirror and saying to yourself in the mirror, I love you. And you might even start crying. Like that's happened to me before, you know. Force yourself to say, I love you. And you give yourself a hug. And you could open up a whole box of emotions and start crying and stuff. But loving yourself is so important. And you have to make it a point to really work on loving yourself. And loving yourself means not only looking in the mirror and telling yourself that you love yourself, but actually taking care of your body. And once you love yourself and you feel like you're working on loving yourself, then you can really love other people and feel empathy and compassion for other people. You don't want to be in this state of mind anymore. You're just kind of stuck in this hole. But you have to remember that you don't want to be in that state of mind. You actually want to get better. You want to overcome this depression. You want to overcome these sad feelings that feel like they're just like overflowing you. It might feel impossible at that very moment, but you have to remember that you want to do it. You want to overcome those feelings. Instead of thinking like, oh, my life is shit, like this sucks, like I just can't do this, I'm bad at this or whatever, instead of like letting your mind keep going with those dark thoughts, you have to change your thinking. You just have to say, no, I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to think, actually, I want to get better. It's okay that you feel like that it's normal, that everyone goes through some type of depression at some point of their life. But in the end, you want to get better. You want to get better. So then you start thinking, how am I going to get better? What am I going to do to get better? It could be meditating. It could be reading spiritual books. One thing that you can definitely have control of, you might not have control of your feelings at that time, but you do have control of what you're doing. So you can try exercising. You can try drinking more water. You can try eating more raw foods like fruits and vegetables. So I think those are some really important things that people need to remember. Diet and exercise really, really helps when it comes to being depressed. That is where we came from. Like, that is pure unconditional love.